Welcome, everybody, to the Division 3 playoffs. 4 best of 7 matches coming up for you this evening, and 4 more teams will battle for glory after Incendia Flame picked up the Division 4 title in 6 games over FC Netney yesterday. We now turn our attention to the winners bracket first round of Division 3 to watch the top 2 seeded teams from this division go head-to-head for a place in the final and, of course, securing promotion to Division 2. It is Disconnected eSports Lambda with an 8-1 record, a plus 17 game win difference. They take on fan favourites FONECKS ONFIRNO, 7-2 record, plus 14 game win difference. This is sure to be a very entertaining series, but I'm not alone in the casting booth. Joining me for the very first time in Slipstream is Orksy. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. And I think this.
What is your opinion on this series then? Have you checked out these two rosters a little bit at all? These, of course, are the top sides that Division 3 have to offer, so it could well be a preview of the final itself at the end of the evening.
I have indeed been keeping track of this, and I think this will be a great match to start off with. Of course, these being the upper bracket, they have got that second chance if they do fall, but the team that wins this has the momentum and will ultimately have the upper edge going into the finals. So I think this has a major part to play in the outcome of these playoffs, even though this isn't the final itself.
Absolutely. The one game advantage that the winner of this series gets in the grand final can turn out to be an enormous advantage when you actually get to playing the thing. It puts a lot of pressure on the team that comes back from the lower bracket, especially having they've already had to win a best of 7 at least if they're the second seeds and they've dropped down to that area. You're then talking about completing multiple matches in a row after that and then trying to overturn the team that has already beaten you without the one game advantage and having to beat them in 6 games or less of the series. So there is a lot at stake in this first series of the evening. Even if neither of the teams are going to get eliminated, you don't want to be the team that will drop down into the lower bracket. And for FONECKS ONFIRNO, they've not really been in this position before. They're a Division 3 regular for the last couple of seasons, but they find themselves in second seed this time around. And looks like there is no Weevil in this FONECKS ONFIRNO roster at the moment, at least. Could be the mid-series substitution on, of course, but Weevil, the demo man, is not present for FONECKS ONFIRNO.
And that's going to be obviously interesting. Demos at this level, of course, people can adjust their mindset and not get tilted, but they do have such a big part to play in simply changing the playstyle that you have, meaning your opponents have to adapt. And if they have to change again, if they were preparing for, say, a demo-heavy playstyle from their opponents, that means that, say, this preparation, whether it's the rotation style or whether they're going for fancy solo plays or these really nice team interlinking plays, it might throw off their opponents, and this could be the first hurdle that their opponents have to face here in this game.
Well, head-to-head result between these two teams in league play was a 4-game victory for Disconnected eSports Lambda. That came after FONECKS ONFIRNO took the opening game of the series, and then Disconnected rallied back with 4-0, 4-3 and 4-2 wins in the remaining game of the series. So, of course, not only are they the top seeds coming into this, they also have the mental advantage of having beaten FONECKS ONFIRNO during league play, and they'll hope that that continues into this winners bracket first round. The lower seeded teams, all unified and Incendia Inferno, we will be seeing them in the second match of the evening as they take part in their lower bracket round 1, in which one of the two teams will be eliminated. But right now, it is the top 2 seeds, and it looks like everybody is present in the lobby. So I think we'll be just about ready to get going. But before we do that, I'm going to ask you for a prediction for how the series is going to turn out.
I think it'll be very interesting. I do like how there's the different playstyles potentially that I did mention. I think that FONECKS ONFIRNO will take this. I have been obviously watching this league play as it goes on, and I do think they have the potential for the upset here. Obviously, like you say, second seed, and I think they can definitely take a game or take games and take a series off the first. And obviously, going through this, I do think they can take this series and potentially also take the grand final when they do take this, or if they do take this.
Well, I'm going to have to play devil's advocate and suggest that Disconnected will win this series. They're the top seeds. They've already beaten FONECKS ONFIRNO in league play. And personally, I find being part of a larger organisation with Disconnected having rosters in other divisions, I find that to be a big advantage for a team. It gives you more of an infrastructure to work with, perhaps more regular scrims. So I think they could be better prepared for this playoff match, which has a different feel to it than the best of 5 in league play. It's an entirely different way of playing that you have to try and adapt to. There's low points in best of 7s that you have to deal with. You're not going to be able to play your best game in every game of the series. And we are underway in the first game of the series now, as FONECKS ONFIRNO register the first shot on target, but that one will be cleared all the way out to the opposition third.
And I do like how you mentioned it's a different feel. You know, even sat here not playing, I'm still nervous. This is definitely an exciting time. They do have to keep a level head. They have to play as a team. They've made it this far, and to fall now will be devastating, and obviously neither team wants that. So we'll be seeing the best performance here. And no goal on the first 30 seconds. You expect them to, you know, they'll start off slow and they'll build it up, I expect, slogging it out towards the latter end of the series, and it really could go the distance. It could go, you know, 6 games, 7 games.
Well, there is no score in the first 45 seconds of the game. Paul is attempting to change that, and now Pichu with a volley on target from distance. Ryan is going to get that all the way clear into the back left corner where Waffle is prepared to take hold of it. And it is a bit of a gritty start to this series, as I think we expected. Both of these teams know how important it is, even though one of them isn't going to get eliminated after it's over. Surely the victor of this best of 7 is the overwhelming favourite heading into the final itself. There was a big chance for Pichu at the far post, but still no goals on the board.
And again, you've seen so much pressure coming out from FONECKS, and that's great for them, trying to get that initial pressure and that initial sort of that goal that puts them in the position they need to take a game or two. And obviously, like you said, best of 7, there's so much time to change it around, but they do get the first goal here. That's brilliant open net. There's going to be words from Disconnected to themselves, wondering what's happened, you know, what's gone wrong with rotations there. Simply slotting that one away, and does put FONECKS ONFIRNO up 1-0 in this first game.
Well, I'm sure the neutrals are well aware of the attacking ability that Waffle has whenever they can get on the ball, but that was a relatively easy finish by their high standards, and it's 1-0 to FONECKS ONFIRNO. They strike first blood in the series, which can have a big impact on the momentum in itself. That is a huge clearance there by Ryan. Can anybody reach this? Cool will just about get to it without boost. Cleared back across the face of the goal was very dangerous work from Waffle indeed. Disconnected just coming into their own on the attack a little bit. Maybe it took them conceding the first goal to kick into gear.
Indeed, they seem to have stepped it up just that little bit, and they do seem to now have the ball solely in their opponent's half. They've got that pressure, they're looking for that goal, that equaliser, and then of course pushing ahead. Call instead trying to put his team ahead by 2. That's to Waffle off the right post instead. Pichu with a shot. That one's underneath the bar. Excellent placement. And once more, another goal for FONECKS ONFIRNO. And a great one at that. Excellent play, disrupting the opponent's score on the goal line. Chaos, and they couldn't get to that. That one's slotted away nicely.
Yeah, all 3 players involved in the attack there is what you want to see from that team's perspective. No mistakes on the rotation, and just picking up on the rebound opportunity when it presented itself. And they're coming forwards again. It's Pichu off the backboard. An easy read for them. Disconnected are up in arms at the moment. This is a wonderful start for FONECKS ONFIRNO. They could already have game 1 under lock and key.
And even if this game does go to FONECKS ONFIRNO, you have to give it to Disconnected. They've made it this far as the #1 seed as well. You can't turn your nose up at that. Even if, you know, they lose this first game, and it looks like they are at this point, they might lose the second, but there's so much of this series to go even after a game or 2. You can't expect them to falter, although that's 4-0 now to FONECKS ONFIRNO in half the game. And something's going to have to be done by Disconnected if they're to have any chance, really, of getting one of these first inaugural games.
Yeah, Division 3 is a higher standard than what we've seen in Division 4, their playoffs yesterday, and that clearance along the backboard is one that Ryan simply has to make, but instead it was Cool's finish to get through. We're at the halfway point of this game 1 now, and it's a commanding 4-goal lead for FONECKS ONFIRNO. They might even get a 5th. Disconnected are just stuck in their defensive third at the moment. They're having their corner boost stolen from them. It's making transitions on the counter really difficult, but speaking of which, Flood is just going to barrel through on this 50 and find some room in behind the defence, and the team in blue can breathe a little sigh of relief now, because that was a goal that has come against the run of play, but it's one they really needed.
And that was great as well. I think the key point there was barely any midfield, anything in the midfield that stopped them. It was simply had the ball and managed to press us through, and that's what's been stopping them so far. It's been halted in the midfield, and simply the ball's too close to their goal. They didn't have the reaction time for it, and it was slotted away by FONECKS ONFIRNO. But instead there, they could simply take their time and again got back in this game, although they are still down by 3. It could be less than that or can't quite, but it does show that they do have the potential to get goals, and of course they've got goals. They've got this seeding, they've got to this point in the competition, but it's going to be great for their mental state in this game to make sure that they can score in the first game and two.
Well, game 1 of the series against FONECKS ONFIRNO in league play was the weakest for Disconnected in terms of their offensive output, just the 1 goal, and then they put 4 on the board in each of the remaining games of the series. This could be a 5th on for FONECKS ONFIRNO here, but Pichu has hit the crossbar. Could that come back to bite them in the last 80 seconds of this game? Still enough time to come back from a 3-goal deficit for Disconnected, and the goal that they did score just looks to have had them burst into life a little bit. Here comes Mark now, up top, looking to drag the ball underneath the defenders. Saved along the line by Cool. Waffler is going to get that one clear as we approach the final minute, and now drags the shot over the top of the defenders. Flood will clear that one off the backboard, but the 4-1 lead remains intact for FONECKS ONFIRNO.
And again, that was great from Waffle when Disconnected took the shot. It was on the goal line, but managed to keep calm and actually got one there as well. Brilliant, managed to clear one off his own goal line, and then very, very soon afterwards put one in the opponent's goal, and that's a 4-goal lead for FONECKS ONFIRNO this game. All but those, surely, the last 46 seconds, customary, you assume.
Yeah, this is a clinical performance from FONECKS ONFIRNO so far, outshooting their opponents 13-4, and 4 of their 5 goals have come off with assists. You couldn't really ask for much better than that from FONECKS ONFIRNO. The underdogs in this series in the first game have come out all guns blazing, and Disconnected eSports are going to have a hard time overturning the deficit. There could even be a 6th goal on here, but Cool, after the pass, I think was just a little bit overworked, but FONECKS don't exactly need more goals at this stage of the game. I think the momentum will be squarely with them in the second game of the series, no matter what happens.
And I 100% expect Disconnected to take the full 60 seconds between these two matches to simply recollect their thoughts and go into this next game with a newfound fire. And they do get one there. That's one more for FONECKS. They don't really need it. I guess goal differential, something they can, of course, look up to. I'm not sure what Flood's doing there, turning back, pushing up too far, but again, they've got time. They've got these last 4 seconds, and then the time between these two games to simply get ready, and I'm sure we'll see something much better from them now.
Yeah, you can tell that mentally speaking, their heads have gone a little bit in the last minute or so of this game. The deficit was simply too much to overcome, and that last goal, I think, came as a result of a lack of defensive focus. They're trying to keep the ball up here to at least get a second goal in the game, and that would give them some semblance of momentum heading into the next one, but that ball was blocked down by a fellow attacking player, and that seals the deal for FONECKS ONFIRNO as they win game 1 by a hefty scoreline of 6-1, and they take game 1 of this best of 7.
I think what's important here as well is you see there were still 4 shots for Disconnected. Now, ignore that there were so many more from FONECKS. You have to still at least give them the credit. They got some, and they did still get saves. Again, there was the opportunity for saves because there were so many shots, but they did manage to get saves. They were managing to still get stat lines. As much as their offense was lacking, they could still hold their own in some ways. They still got the shots to pressure. They still got the saves to show that they were a force on the field, although they couldn't quite outperform their opponents in the first game. They've definitely got so long before they're actually out of this tournament, so they've got plenty of time to recoup.
Yeah, Flood's goal for Disconnected, taking it beyond the defender, getting the favourable 50 win, and then having an open net to shoot at. It was pretty much the only time in this game 1 of the series where Disconnected actually got in behind the FONECKS ONFIRNO defenders. Outside of that, they were very comfortable and had ample opportunities, as we saw from pretty much start to finish of the game, to carry the ball forwards and get a little bit creative, score some left to right passing goals. It's just the best possible start to the series you could have asked for FONECKS ONFIRNO, who I think may even have more in the tank still as we go into this second game of the series. I don't think they're playing at their peak form yet. So from Disconnected, we just need to see better retention of possession and more creativity down the wings to make something happen in the centre.
And indeed, I think you have a very good point there. As much as we've been saying, oh, Disconnected needs to get back in this, you have to give credit to FONECKS ONFIRNO. They came in as the second seed, not technically the favourites on paper to win this, and they decimated that first game. They were warmed up, they were ready, and they wanted to win that. That's, I feel like, what it came down to. They simply had the passion to win that, and they did, and you have to give them credit for that. And of course, they'll be taking that momentum into this second game, and not an immediate goal for FONECKS. So again, that's one good thing, at least for Disconnected. They'll be working very hard to overturn what happened in the first one of this series.
Well, first goal of the second game would go a long way for Disconnected trying to make that happen, but possession is a stalemate at the halfway line currently. Waffle was looking to lay the ball off, but now they will take possession on themselves, chipping the ball over the top of Ryan defensively, and there might be room here for FONECKS ONFIRNO to shoot. But that one was blocked aside by Mark. Weak clear out to the sidewall there. Oh dear, that's a terrible miss by Ryan on the goal line. That is going to cost them the first goal of the game. FONECKS ONFIRNO again, they didn't really have to work for that. That's just on the Disconnected defenders failing to stop it.
And that was unfortunate. They did seem to be honeypotting there in the corner. They saw the ball. There wasn't the full rotations. It seemed to be cutting halfway through the goal, and they obviously wanted to make sure the ball stayed out of the net, but in doing so, they let it go in because of the lapse of rotations, the lapse of proper positioning that it led to meant it was a simple enough slotting the ball near post. Pichu looking for another one, can't quite, and instead you'll see Disconnected looking for a counter-attack. That one upfield though. Pichu once more trying to follow up. This one goes down. That's past mid. Cool. Not able to get there though.
Mark now in some room down the left wing. They've got Pichu still to beat, and now maybe an opportunity to centre it, but again, lacking the creativity and lacking the accuracy from their passes, as that one was snuffed out by a FONECKS defender. Up into the high air now, where Cool will deal with this one, and getting some distance on the clear as well. An important aspect of FONECKS' gameplay that Disconnected have not really had either. Just getting those clears as far as the halfway line gives yourself some time to collect boost. This one's a little bit weaker, and that might open up the field for Disconnected, but again, lacking on the rotation. There's nobody there to pick up what would have been an eminently shootable ball approaching the halfway line. But that is a huge pinch that's going to go all the way in. FONECKS ONFIRNO yet again riding their luck a little bit, but you make your own luck in these games, and they have a 2-goal lead to show for it.
And really, that's unfortunate for Disconnected. Of course, there wasn't a play back to stop that, but I'm not sure how much they should have expected that. Obviously, you have to give some of the credit still to FONECKS ONFIRNO, but that's just going to be something that drops the head even just a bit more of Disconnected, and there's only so much that they can take before I'm sure they will just lose hope, and they have still got more than half this game left. They should easily be getting back into this, but they've had so much pressure, and you see that goal went in immediately. Since then, all we've had is pressure from FONECKS ONFIRNO, and once more a shot blocked by Mark and Waffle on the defensive. At least now we can potentially see some Disconnected offense here.
Waffle pinched from the ceiling looking for Pichu. That's a very ambitious pass to go for, and that just highlights the levels of confidence that FONECKS ONFIRNO have right now. 2-goal lead remains intact, and Disconnected eSports still just the 1 goal on that burst through the middle of the defenders to show for their efforts in 8 minutes of game time now. A hefty amount of game time to only have the single goal. There could be a third on here for FONECKS ONFIRNO, but that one's going to rattle off the post. Now Ryan's responsibility to clear, but they don't really have anyone to look for. FONECKS ONFIRNO will just wait on the halfway line and intercept it, but Mark brings it forward to Disconnected. Flood thought about going for it, but decided to hang back instead. And that is showing a lack of ambition, I think. They have to go for it at this point. They're in danger of going 2-0 down in the series, and they need to generate more.
And something that I did like to see there was the rotation set by FONECKS ONFIRNO, and then they were cut and they would change simply because a player had either a better position for the ball, or they called for it, they thought they could do something, and that was respected. You didn't see the double commit, and there hasn't been much of that from Disconnected either. Well, this could be a brilliant idea. That was a bump, and Waffle confirms that goal as well. That was amazing. That was a brilliant idea, and marvelously executed as well. See Cool calling that out, and Waffle simply slowed the ball down, and as much as it was technically an own goal there, I believe, he played it smart. He knew that his teammate was going to have that and could simply get that goal in the nicest way possible. A 3-0 lead now with under 90 seconds on the clock. This is FONECKS ONFIRNO's game as well, if Disconnected can't do anything about it.
Yeah, we are simply seeing more attacking chemistry from these FONECKS ONFIRNO players. They look like a roster that has been playing together all season. And Disconnected, honestly, I don't know what made them 8-1 in league play, because they're not showing any of the qualities that would be representative of the top seed at the moment. There's still plenty of time for them to turn it around in this series, of course. After this second game, it'll only be a 2-0 deficit unless they can pull off something in regulation here. And 2-0 down in the best of 7. It's not looking great, but if you win the next game, it's not the end of the world. And they do finally have a goal in the second game of the series, and it's come from a demo play in the corner that freed up the ball for Ryan. Bangs it top right corner.
Again, that's a consolation goal. They could still have a chance to come back, and I think it does depend on this kickoff whether they score from it or not. I don't think it entirely matters. It's more a matter of, do they have the momentum, then can they continue this? The ball's in their opponent's half right now. What will they do with it? Can they get the pressure even so they don't score immediately? Mark looking to change that, but can't quite. Flood central to Ryan. That one cleared away, and again, Cool and the rest of FONECKS is simply there to nullify any pressure. Cool as well, following that one up with that was brilliant, just being able to follow that and slot that one with such a tight angle as well. And there was a defender there, but couldn't do anything about that. The boom and the chase, and surely now FONECKS take a 2-0 lead in this series.
Well, the offensive output for FONECKS ONFIRNO has changed drastically in this second game of the series. They've only had 6 shots on target as opposed to the 15 that they registered in the previous one, but make it 7, and goal number 5 for them. The shot total might be lower in this game, but the goals that they're scoring have not decreased at all, pretty much. Defensively, Disconnected have just not been good enough. Only 2 saves between them, and Waffle and Cool are having a field day offensively.
And as well, Disconnected have more shots than last series. Last game, sorry. They had 4 in the last game, they have 5 in here, but they haven't been able to get the save, and they haven't been able to stop any of the pressure from FONECKS leading to something, and it has been a thorn in their side. Simply the fact that they can't get those tackles in midfield, and they can't turn over the possession, can't get one there either, and they will go down 2 games in this series. This next one is so important for them. They can reverse sweep in a best of 7. They can reverse sweep in a best of 7, sorry, but it's insanely difficult, and if anyone's going to do it, it is the number 1 seed in the league play, but we're not at that point yet. They do still have to lose the next game for that to be the overall goal, so we have to wait and see what happens next.
Well, of course, the longer that a team goes without winning in the best of 7, you start to think, will it ever happen? And for Disconnected, they need to not just think about this series, but the one that will come after, regardless of whether it's in the grand final or the lower bracket. If they go down to the lower bracket and they go down in a sweep or as little as 5 games, the 3rd or 4th seed that wins their lower bracket round match and gets to have a crack at Disconnected in the lower bracket final will be feeling pretty confident about their chances. So for Disconnected, it's not just about this series. They need to try and up their performance levels for whatever is coming next.
Indeed, and you have a very good point there. I think that the top 4 seeds in any league is going to be very, very close. And obviously these being the top 2 seeds, 3rd and 4th seed, the winner of that will have the momentum going into the game against the loser of this. And if those 4 seeds are also close, the team with momentum, the team that's feeling positive, thinking, oh, this is the number 1 seed that we're playing now, and they just lost, well, we can take them, we just won. They're going to have that momentum, and they're going to have that attitude that could potentially be halfway to a victory anyway. And that's something that definitely needs to be worked on. Obviously, we don't know what's going down in the Disconnected comms, but you really, really hope that they have got the fortitude to stay through this, and they need some sort of victory in this, whether it's winning it, which is obviously preferable, or keeping it very, very close.
Yeah, absolutely. The Division 4 playoffs yesterday was a perfect example of the discussion that we're currently having. FC Netmeet as the 4th seed, eliminated the 3rd seed, and then in the lower bracket final, Symbiote Scorn had lost in 5 games to Incendia Flame in the winners bracket round equivalent match that we're watching now, and FC Netmeet simply just rolled over them, even though they're the 2nd seeds as opposed to Disconnected being the 1st seeds here. It was still a case of FC Netmeet carrying their confidence into the next series against a higher seeded team. By no stretch of the imagination does the top 2 seed have the God-given right to return to the grand final after they've been sent down to the lower bracket. So Disconnected really do need to get themselves together, and I think this is the better start to Game 3. They haven't conceded in the first minute or so, and more chances going forwards possibly as Flood directs the ball off the backboard here. There will be no shot on target as a result of it, but there is definitely more possession in the offensive third for Disconnected.
It seems to be that every game they're spending longer and longer not conceding, which is great, but then the next thing is they're not scoring in that time either. Like, well done, you've stopped your opponent from scoring, but you haven't done anything either, and they never scored the inaugural goal in either of these games, so that's something that needs to be changed. They need to be scoring fast and without their opponents equaling it up, because it's not working for them at all. They need to change something, whether it's their play style, the speed, if they want to go for a more demo heavy approach, anything. At this point, it hasn't worked. It's been 2 minutes, and as much as it's deadlocked, and that is an improvement, if they can't get the first goal here, I really don't see them having much of a chance in the rest of this at all.
FONECKS ONFIRNO are pretty much maxed out their momentum gauge at the moment. They don't need to pile forwards and hit their opponents for 5 or 6 goals again. They can just afford to sit back and wait for the moment to present itself, which is exactly what they're doing currently, as we are at the halfway point of this game 3, and FONECKS ONFIRNO still very much in control of the series as a whole, but this could change things. First goal of the game does go to Disconnected. It's on mark. And for once, the FONECKS ONFIRNO defense looks a little bit shaky. Waffle missing the initial interception point and then couldn't get to the follow-up shot.
And there's been 3 shots total in this game, that being the third shot just there. And that does show how much, well, how volatile it is in the midfield. It's a lot more, the possession is changing hands. I can get that clear shot. Potentially the ball's been slowed down a lot more. I feel like that's what's led to it, because in that case we can't get those blisteringly fast passing plays or shots. And that has led to, I think, a good change of pace that FONECKS can't deal with. They do get one back here, though. They do equal it up, and I have to bite my tongue there. They've now had 4 shots to Disconnected 1, so they do still have the monopoly there. And again, they've had great pressure. They're really working as a team. They seem to be leaving balls when their teammates are going for it, so their comm seems to be on point as well. And quite frankly, it's all clicking for them right now. If they can stay with this, I have full faith that they can do so much in this series and in this bracket in general.
Painfully quick equaliser for Disconnected to concede after they'd taken the lead. You were just thinking that maybe they'd get an opportunity to play from in front and perhaps put their opponents under some more pressure. They could still have the opportunity to do that because they have the ball in the offensive third, but now Mark is finding himself having to retreat to the back corner where the boost is waiting. Now a clear from in front of the net. Flood will look to carry the ball straight down the centre again and seems to have had some success. Demo in midfield there from Mark on Cool, but still it is FONECKS ONFIRNO who flood into the opposition corner. Now Flood will be prepared to send it back as we have 90 seconds to go in this game 3. It is an important moment in the series as a whole. You already mentioned at the beginning how difficult it is to pull off a reverse sweep in a best of 7.
Indeed it is, and this is crunch time. I think if you go to an overtime here, it could, or it might not be actually Pichu with a nice goal here, slotting it past the opponent. There were plenty of players on the blue side on Disconnected back, but they simply couldn't get to it. So Flood was back post and also player front, but again, not being able to reach that's great. Being able to slot that away like that, it does show a level of composure that you do need. And as much as I think it could go to overtime, it might not. We might see that FONECKS ONFIRNO just slaughter where they score near enough half a dozen goals in such a short period of time. And again, it's looking like it could be like that. They're piling on the shots now that we know what shots lead to. It leads to goals, and realistically, that's what Disconnected can't stop right now.
Well, it is still only a 1-goal deficit for the time being, and that means Disconnected are 1 shot away from being level once again. This could be the chance. Ryan is there from the crossover, and it's a wonderful play. Mark, alley-oop pass into the centre from out wide, and Ryan was in a good position to receive it. Nobody home on the goal line for FONECKS ONFIRNO, and it's 2-2.
And something I really liked with that was Flood 98 went up for that ball, realised he wouldn't get a good shot, potentially was also conned by his teammate that he shouldn't, and left it. And simply you saw, not just sort of couldn't reach it, ran out of boost, but you saw was flying down, so was smart enough about that. And that's great teamwork. It shows they are still working together, they do have the comms, and they do have the fight back potential, and I love to see that.
Well, they have a game win in this series to show for it. There's 20 seconds to go in game 3, and it's deadlocked for the time being, but there is a dangerous ball heading towards the Disconnected net from Cool. Mark will make their 3rd save of the game on that one. 10 seconds to go. FONECKS ONFIRNO will have another crack from distance. Cool is chasing it down to try and put Disconnected under some pressure. Cool will lay it off for Waffle now, and Peachy with the shot. Waffle looked to direct it towards the net, but no contact was made. OT, the first of these division playoffs in game number 3.
And once more, in the corner there, just as the clock hit 0, you saw there was a save medal. There's now been 8 saves from Disconnected in these 5 minutes. And that's as much as it shows that there's been a lot of pressure from FONECKS ONFIRNO on the goal with shots. They've been saving them. At this point in game 1 or 2, realistically, they would be, down by 2 or 3 potentially? And they might not even have these goals. They've already turned this series around, and they're showing they have that back foot defense that they desperately need if they want to get back in this series. Cool with a potential shot here. That one's going to go Oh, that's actually off the bar. I think that rolled off Ryan as well, and that's in. That's going to be devastating for Disconnected. FONECKS on Inferno getting the third win of this series, and now in an almost impossible task, climbing a mountain, really, Disconnected, as they need a reverse sweep in a best of 7 here.
The first seeds in Division 3 still yet to wake up, really. Heavily outshot in that game once again. They took it to overtime. There was better defending, but the offense is still lacking big time. They pretty much got forward 3 times. They scored twice. The FONECKS on Inferno defense left a little bit to be desired, and I'm sure that's something that they're going to want to snuff out in what looks to be the grand final ahead of them, as they are now 1 game away from it. Disconnected, they've got to throw everything out of the pram here. They need to change up their tactics drastically, even if they're not going to win the series as a whole. At least get a game. I can't imagine what it would be like mentally for them if they go down to the lower bracket and then they come back up into the grand final and they have to play FONECKS on Inferno again, a team that has swept them 4-0 just a couple of hours ago. I mean, how do you recover from that? They need a game win now to prove that they can beat FONECKS on Inferno today at all.
I would like to counter your point there, actually. Of course, I feel they need a game win. I mean, they need a series win, realistically. But if they do go down to the lower bracket, then go to the final, I believe they will have a fire in their heart. They will want revenge, and I think that could still give them a chance. Obviously, it's not going well for them right now, but any team at this level has the drive. And as much as it's not working for them now, maybe they do need to reset. There's no timeouts in this. It's simply you have a minute between games. That's it, and that might not be enough, but if they can play a team and they can win, that might be all the momentum they need. Flood slotting that one away. That's going to be a mistake, though, from FONECKS on Inferno that gives them that. And Cool, unfortunately, can't quite connect with that. And in 5 seconds, the inaugural goal goes to Disconnected. This could be the turnaround they need for this reverse sweep.
Well, what Disconnected will benefit from in this 4th game of the series is how, in attempting to pull off a sweep, the most difficult game to win is always the last one. You're pretty much guaranteed to let your foot off the gas pedal a little bit. Even if you're not doing it intentionally, they're still high on confidence at the moment, and sometimes confidence can be a hell of a drug, and it can put you off your gameplay a little bit if you have too much of it. And they find themselves 1-0 down. They're going to look to press forward for the equaliser now, but Disconnected are keeping possession in the offensive third. We haven't been able to say that too many times for them in this series so far.
And indeed, complacency may be an issue, and we really haven't seen anything apart from the ball in the FONECKS on Inferno half for these first 45 seconds, and that's great. The ball finally being cleared, but Ryan able to pick it up. Cool, actually. Great interception mid-air. You have 2 players double commit for that, but no one's going to be back. Pichu looking for the first shot, couldn't quite. Flood slowing it down, and finally looking to get this one out. Cool instead. Keeping the pressure on. This is great from FONECKS Inferno, changing the pace up once more.
Waffle now on the halfway line, goes for an early flick, and Cool is up there to receive it. Do they have the extra touch? This could be on target. It hits the post. Triple commit there from the Disconnected defenders as they scramble to get that one away, but they've managed it successfully, and now they look to commit forwards. But all 3 players yet again very high up the pitch there. I said that they needed to go for broke, but not like that. They've got to stay measured, especially given that they have the lead at the moment.
Indeed, they do need to stay as calm and collected as they can. They have been scrambling. We've seen double commits, triple commits. In fact, the first ball that was cleared onto the half was a double commit, and that does show, I think, how desperate they are to keep this. Flood with 2nd goal of the game as well. Going to Disconnected, this is great. They've never had a 2-goal lead in this. And in excellent fashion as well. A nice pop-up and confirmed just under the bar. You saw he was following that up as well. Was going to get there, but just goes in, and that's brilliant. That'll be the confidence boost they need to really try to turn this game around.
Well, Flood has both of the Disconnected goals in this game and seems to be their best outlet for offense that the team has on display so far in this series. They'll need plenty more of it if they are to get themselves back into contention properly. This is only 1 game in what has become a very long road ahead of them, but so far so good. They're not in any real danger of losing it at the moment with the 2-goal advantage, and that's exactly where you want to be. You want to try and get a confident start to an attempted reverse sweep, because there will be more difficult moments. We're approaching the halfway point of the 4th game. They are yet to concede. FONECKS on Inferno are attempting to turn the screw a bit, but they could well already be thinking about the next game of the series themselves.
Indeed, like you said, it's so difficult to not take your foot off the gas if you're trying to sweep. But if you're trying to reverse sweep as well, they have to keep an even steadier hand, because if Disconnected mess up once, the series is over from them from now on. If FONECKS or ONFIRNO mess up, they've got another game. Obviously, you don't want to be thinking, oh, it's fine, we can just go to the next one. But they have got those lifelines that Disconnected just don't have, and they need to be so wary of that. And as long as they're playing this smart, calculated game that they are now, they should be completely fine. Obviously, it's a very tough opponent, so it's not going to be a walk in the park, but it will be much easier than if they're reverting back to the playstyle that they were using in the first two games. I think the third was better, but the first two are definitely something that they want to put down as practice game. This could be a mistake though, Ball not quite going in, and Ball trying to get us out, looking for yet another counter-attack for FONECKS ONFIRNO.
Well, this is the poorest offensive output that we've seen from FONECKS ONFIRNO so far in the series. Only 3 shots on target, all of them taken by Cool. No goals on the board, but Waffle will finally have his first attempt. That one was saved by Merc, and now it will be Pichu from the halfway line to try and put it back into the centre. May get another stab at it as Waffle wins a 50. This one is popped up into the air, and Cool will have a go, but doesn't even make contact on the ball. 2-goal lead still intact as we are into the final minute of game number 4 now. FONECKS ONFIRNO are coming at them though. They're going to be really tested here. Defensively, they've been weak sometimes in this series so far. The previous game was an improvement on it, but the triple commits haven't really left their game, and that will be a concern.
One thing as well that I think Disconnected really deserve credit for is they are working as a team now. Flood with obviously 2 goals, Mark with an assist and 2 saves, and Ryan, as much as he doesn't have any major stat lines, he is working as a great anchor, and it's really helping the team out. Nothing flashy, but it's a solid baseline that's making sure you see, and just in that frame there, the other 2 pushing up, and Ryan stays back knowing that if teammates are going, just work in a way that lets them do their thing, and that was stopping them earlier in the series. There were open nets, etc., that were plaguing them, and now due to how Ryan has changed their playstyle, it's not a problem anymore.
Yeah, they're winning a few of these midfield battles a little bit more for possession. Their shot total output has still been pretty low, but so has FONECKS ONFIRNO's. But hang on a second, there are 2 seconds left on the clock. FONECKS ONFIRNO have themselves a goal, though pretty much left it to chance on the next kickoff, but there is every possibility of them equalising and suddenly taking this game to OT, and that is the price that Disconnected pay for leaving men forwards on the counter-attack when they didn't need to. What will happen from the kickoff? It's rolled along the ground, nobody's going to get to that. Disconnected can breathe a sigh of relief. They do have a game win in this winners bracket first round.
And with that kickoff, I love analysing kickoffs and the different strategies you can use. That was intentional, that the so-called miss there from the FONECKS ONFIRNO player, that was attempting to go for the player on the left, because of course people use left goes even at this level. Went for the demo so that the teammate could simply tap that ball, not in, but with the pressure, and then obviously with the third player getting boosted and cheating up as hard as possible. That would have been brilliant if it worked out, and would have been one of the best highlight reel shots I've seen in a long time. And I think, again, the ambition that was there is brilliant to see. Even though they were down 1, they needed to win, they could have just hoped for a lucky kickoff. They went for a strategy, and that was organised and pulled off nearly to perfection.
Well, maybe they'll get another opportunity to do that later on in this series, as we will head into Game 5 shortly. Disconnected have gotten the first step done. They've climbed the first rung on the ladder back into contention in this series. We will head over to Neo Tokyo now for a 5th game, where they could potentially make it a 3-2 deficit, but that just espouses how long it is overall to get back into a best of 7. You're not even going to be tied up if you win this game, but you can't think about the entire series overall. Just think about winning every game, 1 game at a time. And it was job done for them in the previous one. I think there's still work to do, but you don't necessarily want to play your best game of the series in the first game where you're attempting a reverse sweep like this.
Indeed, I like the idea of it's 1 game at a time, because they've just won 1 game, of course, so they can win a second. If you won a second, they've got the momentum, and if they win the 3rd after that, then they're on match point. They've got the pressure on the opponents, and if you can keep with that mentality, obviously it's such a hard team, you can't just win a game, but if you can keep it to that sort of thinking of it's 1 at a time, play it smart, then you can most definitely make winning this and reverse sweeping a team like this a feasible option.
Even if they do pull off the reverse sweep, however, I think all Unified and Incendiary Inferno, still they're going to be watching on in this series from the lower bracket and thinking, well, Disconnected, they're definitely not in peak form today. They would have won this series comfortably, and they find themselves 1-0 down 50 seconds into this Game 5. Cool with the infield pass, and Pichu launched it at 105, impossible for the defender to reach.
Not only was that a very, very good shot in terms of power, but I think that was pushing off a bit too far. You always have to be aware of that hard clear option from really like a champ level, I think. And push off a bit too far. Granted, that was a very, very good shot in terms of got it high in the goal, it had power on it. That's going to be difficult to replicate, but you have to be prepared for the worst. Because if you know it's a weak shot, it's fine. You can then push up and someone rotates behind you. But if it's a very, very good shot, a powerful shot, you have to be prepared for that, because it's better to be slightly out of position, slightly deeper back rather than out of position. And Waffle instead getting a second one, FONECKS ONFIRNO, more than they had in last game already in the first minute 19 seconds. This is a great turnaround for them, of course, giving them the momentum. Everyone on FONECKS as well with a shot. This is really what they'll be looking to do more of if they want to close out this series.
And Flood's attempts to intercept that ball was frankly shambolic. They were nowhere near it, even before Waffle made the extra touch happen. They had to do better with that. It's an easy-ish goal for Waffle to score. The execution of the shot is still difficult, but there was little to no resistance behind it on the line, and that's just what Disconnected have failed at time and time again in this series so far, making those interceptions and making life more difficult for FONECKS ONFIRNO. When the chance to shoot comes, there's a lot of space for the ball to travel into.
And again, we've seen on the rotations now, you saw Pichu very, very far back in as well. You will see a lot more of the players on Disconnected just hanging back. They're learning from their mistakes, not just in this game, but throughout this entire game. They've changed up play styles, and it is great to see. If you watch the first game instead, Mark as well, brilliant there, ball dropping down, and the easiest goal scored in this entire series. Ryan leaving that, not getting in the way, down the middle as well, and now only 1 goal deficit. There's 3 minutes left. There's plenty of time for many, many more goals here. That's the first step Disconnected need if they want to win this game as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Taking the ball the more direct route is giving the FONECKS ONFIRNO some troubles, because defensively they haven't been at their absolute best. It's been their free-flowing attack that has been their strong point in the series. And Ryan with a wonderful redirect on an assist from Mark again. That is going to tie things up for Disconnected. That is a play worthy of being the top seeds. It's taken a pretty long time for us to see something like that, but better late than never.
Indeed, and Ryan was a more passive role the last game or two, and instead got the assist for the first goal, and that beautiful cherry pick was really something to behold. Managing to slot that one away. This one, nearly going in, Mark. Great save, Cool, trying to send this one. More pressure coming in from FONECKS ONFIRNO, but nothing coming of it just yet.
2-2 now, as we are well beyond the halfway point of Game 5. Disconnected eSports have rallied from 2 goals down, and this is what I talked about just over a game ago, that they were going to be tested, and it seems like they've passed the first test after FONECKS ONFIRNO just put them on the back foot. In earlier games of the series, that would have been extended to a 3 or 4 goal lead, and there was no rallying from it. But Disconnected are a different team now, it seems, as Ryan has his second goal of this one, and they lead for the first time on the pass from Flood. It was blocked down by Waffle, but Ryan committed far up the pitch there, but importantly in good position. Nobody defensively is there to intercept it, so the shooting angle is there.
And that was brilliant from Flood, getting the assist there, but then following up on the initial attempt and getting those bumps, getting the disruption on the goal line. That will be tilting the opponents, and really that even though it's a 1 goal lead, that is something that is going to be of detriment to FONECKS ONFIRNO, because they've conceded so many this game now. They're really going to need to step up what they're doing and change their mindset if they are to come back in this game or steady this series.
Yeah, that's an aspect of reverse sweeping that can be a little bit underrated, I think. When you're the opposition team and you're just trying to win that extra game to seal the series, the process of actually losing these 3 games in a row to force a 7th game is a pretty long time in terms of real time. It's about 20-25 minutes where mentally you're going to be struggling a little bit at the thoughts of, how are we not winning this game? We've seen how good we are against this side already. what's happened. It's a really long time for those emotions to gestate and stew among the comms, and they need to try and snuff that out, because as you said earlier, the momentum will be with Disconnected once again if they win this game. It will be back-to-back game wins, and they will have a chance to tie the series.
And whether they've got a coach or a substitute or there's a captain, they do need to be stepping up, making sure that the comms are loud, they are confident, and that everyone is sure on what's happening. That would have been a great goal to that one. Instead, going bottom right, Waffle with the initial attempt at the very, very nice 50 there. Great catch, but instead, this ball going to Pichu, and no one's getting near that. That is as far in the bottom right corner as it could be. This game tied up as well with 30 seconds left. We are about to see a very grueling end to this game.
Could be a grandstand finish to this one for FONECKS ONFIRNO. They're suddenly one goal away after being on the back foot for the last minute or so. They're right back into this one and carrying the ball forwards in the final 20 seconds. Off the backboard, coming down centrally. Pichu almost had the block that would have sent it in. Instead it is Disconnected forwards on the counter with 10 seconds to go, but it ping-pongs back into the far corner. Ryan's clear is an awkward one. Waffle will take the shot, sent back by Flood up to the halfway line. Pichu can only help it on into their own corner. Might be a last chance on for Disconnected, but that ball ramps down into the ground, and we have OT again in Game 5.
And this one is really going to be intense. Both teams still vying for their spot in the grand finals. It's by no means secured for FONECKS ONFIRNO. Until they get the game win in that fourth game, you can't say anything about certainty that they will be in that final. Even if they drop down, they've got a brilliant team they have to face, and this one is going to be very intense. Pichu faking that one out for Cool looking for that one. That's going to be hit away by Mark once more, dropping down, and we're going to see a torrent of offense instead from Disconnected here.
Sent back into the far corner by Cool, and an infield pass looking for Pichu. Hits the post with the shot. Great chance there for FONECKS ONFIRNO, goes begging, but now here comes Disconnected. It's Flood looking for an open net. Rebound, scores! And there's another game win for Disconnected. They take it in OT, 47 seconds in. Waffle's clearance, they're not going to be wanting to see that again. But Disconnected stay in this series.
And that was such a team effort from Disconnected. That was well deserved. It was very, very close and kept close by FONECKS, but in no way do I think they had the grip on that series. They had more shots, yes, but it wasn't in the same way that Disconnected. They were peppering shots on net, and they made sure they had that clamp on midfield. They had assists for all their goals, or all but one, sorry. But they were doing it as a team. They had the correct rotations towards the second half of that game. It all clicked for them, and I do believe they have great potential to take this to a Game 7 here.
Feels like a pretty long time ago now that FONECKS ONFIRNO won the first game of the series 6-1, a commanding scoreline, and it was an equally commanding performance. Disconnected looked effectively helpless in that one, but the series has twisted and turned, and now it is Disconnected who are playing their best Rocket League at the moment. FONECKS ONFIRNO, I don't think they were bad in that game, actually. It was a better performance than the previous game in the series. I think they've woken up a little bit, but they are suffering from the knock-on effect of having lost the fourth game, and Disconnected eSports just have that little more confidence themselves to get forwards. 6 shots on target is still not an incredible total, but in terms of the midfield battles that were fought in this game in the series, I think it was a lot closer. We're going to head into Wasteland Night now for game number 6. FONECKS ONFIRNO have let 2 opportunities to advance to the grand finals slip by. Will they miss out on a third?
I think this is such an important game because it's going to look, if you look at the stats, you won 3, that's brilliant, and then you lost 2. Okay, that's fine, teams have good fight backs. If they can close it out here, you can say, fine, they had some fight back, they were playing very well, but we closed it out, we were the best team there. If you lose a third in a row, you're thinking, what happened? You made a mistake as a team, and that's not something that can be forgotten. Waffle, great save there, and this one put central by Flood once more. Cool, getting a good save as well, staving that one away. Mark trying to get this one central as well, but can't quite.
And for the third and fourth seeds, Incendia, Inferno and all unified at the moment, I think this comeback in the series from Disconnected eSports is going to make the third and fourth seeds only feel more good about the way that this upper series is going. It indicates that both sides appear to be showing some degree of weakness regardless of who is actually going to end up in the grand final. I think pretty much the only way to avoid that is if the top seed wins in commanding fashion, and of course that's not going to happen from this point. If they pull it off, it will be via reverse sweep. They're halfway there. We are active in this game 6 now, and it's a scoreless first minute. This could be the first real chance for FONECKS on Inferno. It's cool with the shot, deflected away by Mark. A good stop there.
And there's been multiple shots and multiple saves from both teams. It's really been a torrent of pressure from everyone. There's no messing around in the midfield. It is nitty-gritty Rocket League right now. It's going to be some of the best you'll see in this entire tournament. You've got a save you medal in less than a minute and a half from Waffle there as well. Brilliant. Pichu, great clearance, cool. Faking that one out potentially and nearly going in, but not quite. Flood 98 instead taking this one. Sort of a showboat there. Waffle looking to clear this one out. Cool instead doing the dirty work.
I think Cool on the offensive fake must have gotten the shout from their teammate that the ball was headed in, but it actually comes off the post. But FONECKS on Inferno are threatening to take the lead. Is this the moment? No, it just comes off the crossbar and away by Ryan, but only as far as Waffle, who makes an acrobatic block, continues to keep possession heading into the corner. The Flood will now clear all the way up to halfway, but FONECKS on Inferno keeping a strong rotation there. Waffle is the only defender back now. It's a bit of a weak clear into the corner, but FONECKS will be given time to breathe a little bit. Now Ryan to send a shot back in, dunks down into the centre, but neither team is quite connecting on that clinical, singular play that is going to make the difference in this game 6 at the moment. It's like every game in this series that we're seeing after Disconnected started the reverse sweep hunt, it's been a different style of Rocket League that we're seeing.
And that was a great save from Waffle, by the way, reaching for that. But you've seen players, I saw players from FONECKS on Inferno on the backboard, obviously, as you do in defense, and then players from Disconnected hunting them down on the backboard. The sheer goal that you must have to try that. Oh, actually, cool. Instead, putting one away for FONECKS, and putting the only one away in this game so far. It's been a slog, six shots, for each team. The first goal going to FONECKS, and with just over 2 minutes left, it is going to be crunch time here. Disconnected on the back foot. They're going to need to do something pretty quickly about this. Of course, they've got ample time to score, but you want to get this as quick as possible. You don't want to be leaving it to the last 10 seconds. Some miracle goal. Pichu instead netting away a second as well. And this is so important for FONECKS to be able to get this lead this quickly.
What difference is that second goal going to make for FONECKS on Inferno? There's 1 minute and 58 seconds for Disconnected to turn this around. They've had more shots on target in this game, but they have nothing to show for it at the moment. They need to pull a goal back as soon as they possibly can to give themselves ample opportunity to carve out a second. It's a road back that they haven't really travelled yet, and there is a third. This could be FONECKS on Inferno waltzing into the grand finals. It's taken them a little while to generate some serious momentum since they went 3-0 up, but this is looking very good for them now.
And I can imagine the comms you've got. They're trying not to cheer because this is what they need. 3 goals is so hard to surmount in any game mode, really, or in any league as well. You've got such a high level of competition. Oh, that one's going to be a bit of a misplay actually. Mark with an open net and can bring this back within 2. There's a minute and a half. This is achievable. This is very achievable, and I think they've also stopped the kickoff goals that were an issue, and no longer. They've got one back. They now have the momentum. Obviously, they are down, but they have scored the last goal, and that's very important here. Interesting kickoff strategy as well from Mark there.
And the ball is in the offensive half where Disconnected want it, but can they create the second goal that they need to keep themselves in it? You were right about FONECKS on Inferno trying not to cheer, because suddenly they're on the back foot. Their 3-goal lead has been erased, and it's a 2-goal lead now. Ryan will have an opportunity to take possession, but needs to be careful. Coming under some pressure from the FONECKS attackers. Flood had a chance at an open net. That could have been the moment, and the back pass attempt is very much offline as well. That could have easily been the second goal on the board for Disconnected. Now they find themselves in front of their own goal. Having to make an important save there is Mark, as we are into the final minute of game 6 now. Still 2 goals down are Disconnected. Ryan pushes the ball into the far corner, and Waffle is there to receive it. FONECKS on Inferno will get valuable seconds off the clock here.
And you really have to remember that 2 goals obviously is difficult, but you score 1 here. It could be 1, not quite. Flood instead getting that one. That was brilliant. Actually, and like I was saying, it's 2 goals, it's now 1, but if they're the kickoff goal, then it's a tied game, and you really have to think of it like that, because you have to prepare for the worst mentally, so that it doesn't catch you off guard. And these last 35 seconds are going to be so difficult. We're either going to have heartbreak for disconnected, or we're going to have a game 7 of some of the best Rocket League I've seen in a while. Ryan, for the offense, that one's going to be cleared out by Pichu instead, and you'll see FONECKS ONFIRNO looking for one last offense.
Oh, and Pichu was so close to getting it there. Waffle steps up for the rebound as we have 20 seconds to go. Disconnected need to get the ball out of their own corner at the moment, but FONECKS keep it forwards, and here is Waffle, and Cool is there for the follow-up. The 2-goal lead is restored with 12 seconds to go. FONECKS ONFIRNO strike at the perfect time. That could be it. 12 seconds is not a long time to score twice.
It's going to need some serious kickoff strategy and some serious luck as well with what happens on the kickoff. That was not unlucky, of course. You can never say it's really luck. Some of it might have been right place, right time, but for the most part, still be able to execute at the right time on the goal line was cool. And this game finally goes to FONECKS ONFIRNO. It's been so long. Flood getting that one, a consolation for the road. A little bit of trash talk as well in chat, and that's unfortunate for Disconnected. They lose by 1, and in such great fashion as well. FONECKS ONFIRNO starting off the series brilliantly and finally managed to turn that one around and get that series win that they've been looking for.
And so the second seeded team, FONECKS ONFIRNO, move into the winners bracket final. They will get themselves that tasty 1-game advantage against whoever is going to challenge them from the lower bracket. And we now have a set path in the remainder of the stream. All Unified will take on Incendiary Inferno in that lower bracket first round. The winner of that series will face Disconnected, the top seeds sent down to the lower bracket. And the winner of that series, of course, will face FONECKS ONFIRNO, who have put themselves in the driving seat in the remainder of these playoffs. They are 3 game wins away from the Division 3 title. And, of course, they have secured promotion to Division 2 themselves already. So congratulations to FONECKS ONFIRNO on achieving that. But their work here tonight is not done. We are going to go into a quick break now, but when we come back, it will be Broken and Simdog taking you through the lower bracket first round, All Unified versus Incendiary Inferno. We will be right back.